What's up, guys? Jason here with the Magma Chamber. I'm here with you with an album review for the mighty Darkane that released their new album today, June 24th, called Inhuman Spirits. This is their 7th album and their first in 9 years, following up the Sinister Supremacy, which came out in 2013. It's been a long wait, especially for one of my favorite bands. I've been waiting a long time for this album to come out. I was curious to see how Darkane would fare after so much time. A few months ago, I did a career retrospective video called Bands We Love, and I featured Darkane in that. And a couple of the guys from the band actually replied to that video, and so I thought that was really cool. I was kind of starstruck about it. But this album brings the same lineup as the last album, which was also the lineup on their very first album, Rusted Angel. Features Lawrence Macri back again on vocals, Klaus Eiderberg and Christopher Malmstrom on guitars, Jorgen Loffberg on bass, and the almighty Peter Wildor on drums. So this album finds the guys back in fine form. Usually they start their albums out with kind of an orchestral type introduction, but not so much this time. You hear just a little bit of an orchestral swell and we're straight into blast beats. So that's one thing that this album has going for it, is lots of energy. I was curious, how would they sound this time? Would they retain their energy and their kind of their frantic mood that they have on their albums? And yeah, they picked up right where they left off on the last album. It took me a little while to warm up to the last album, The Sinister Supremacy. There was a little bit more melody involved. Lawrence's vocals were a little bit more varied than they were the first time we heard him on Rusted Angel. I feel like, if I'm being honest here, that he sounds great. I think this is Lawrence Macri's best vocal performance on any album. He shows such a wide range and a lot of strengths in all those ranges. He's got his clean vocals, which still have some grit to them, which I really like. They're not overly melodic. We're not talking Speed Strid here, where it's just really, really clean. He keeps a little bit of grit in his clean vocals. Really low guttural vocals in some spots too, which is really cool. I don't remember him really getting that low on those albums, and just some straight throaty screams. So he sounds great on all these songs. So first track, once again, Inhuman Spirits, the title track. There is a little bit of an orchestral layer to this song, but you orchestral music haters, don't worry, because the orchestral elements that are on this album, when they do pop up, are kind of down in the mix a little bit. They're there just kind of as a layer, and they don't show up in every single song, but they're done really well. The next track, Awakening. This was a song that really surprised me, because this was just a straight up death metal track. This was one of the tracks that they put out before the album, and so when the song starts out, you don't even really know it's Darkane, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not until you kind of get into some of the cleaner vocals later on, they say, oh, okay, that kind of sounds like Lawrence. And so they wanted to go for just a straight death metal chuggy type track with this one, and they pulled it off. It sounds great. Next track, Embrace the Flame. The main riff kind of reminds me of something that the Black Dahlia Murder would do. It kind of really reminds me of that. It goes into kind of this gallopy type riff that reminded me of Innocence Gone from Expanding Senses, one of my favorite albums from them. And that kind of seems to be something that pops up throughout this album. There's some Expanding Senses elements that kind of pops up in this album, kind of with some of the gallopy riffs. I kind of think that they might have looked back at that album for inspiration with this album a little bit. Next album, Conspiracies of the Flesh. I mean, this just picks the thrash element right back up. And I will say that overall on this album, I think that the thrash element is back a lot more than it was on the previous album. Darkane has always had this way of just sounding like they're almost about to go off the rails, which I felt like was missing on the last album a little bit. It's a little bit more of that this time, because I think there is more of that thrashy element this time. But I think that they've done a really good job of matching the thrashy elements with the more melodic moments, but they never go too melodic. It's that is there, of course. I mean, it's always been a part of their sound a little bit, but one of the things that they've always been good at is not going too melodic. They always keep it heavy. If it gets just a little bit too melodic, they right around the corner they're going to have something really heavy to hit you with. So that continues on here. Next track, Inhaling Mental Chaos. It's thrashy, kind of has an old school melodic thrash element to it. Almost kind of reminds me of old soul work, like maybe Chainheart Machine, Predator's Portrait era. So that was really cool. It kind of goes a little old school in that melodic death metal realm. Next track, Mansion of Torture. It's thrashy, it's melodic. There's a little bit of the orchestra element in the chorus. Next song, Quintessence of Evil. This kind of had a more epic feel to it to me. It kind of has this slow, epic intro, and it sort of builds up. There's a melodic lead, and then it goes right into a gallop. You know, that kind of that gallopy riff, almost kind of like a Testament type riff. Once again, it's melodic, it's orchestral. There's a nice breakdown, and the vocals get really low. So low that I think that it kind of sounds like Travis Ryan from Cattle Decapitation. It might even be him. I haven't seen the liner notes, so I haven't heard of him popping up on this album, but the vocals are that low. I was like, man, it sounds just like Travis Ryan. But if it's Lawrence, man, he's done a great job with his low vocals on this. Next track, A Spiral to Nothing. It kind of has more of an upbeat riff to it. It kind of almost reminds me of something Megadeth might have done on Countdown to Extinction or something like that. It's got a nice chuggy pre-chorus to it. Kind of sounds, like I said, it's kind of upbeat, where overall this album has kind of a dark feel to it. And it slows to this kind of this death metal type breakdown. Almost kind of reminds me of like Strapping Young Lad at their heaviest, because of the kind of the mechanical element that I feel like that Darkane has always had in their sound that's appealed to me. I wouldn't go as far as call it industrial, but it's always kind of had a mechanical sound to it in some aspects, while also still sounding organic. I think that that's something that Meshuggah has done really well on their last few albums. They've always had that mechanical type sound, but it still sounds like it's played by human beings. And Darkane pulls that off really well. Next track, The Great Deceiver. Once again, starts out thrashy. Lawrence kind of has a mid-range rasp going on in this song. Once again, a melodic chorus. Great solo trade-off. That's another thing. Klaus and Christopher, their leads on this album are great. And Lawrence has great screams going all through this song. And then the final track is called Valnader. I guess it's Swedish. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. There's a little circle above the A there. It's basically just an outro. It's about 1.5 minutes long. It's a piano outro. I don't know if it really adds anything to the album or not, but I don't criticize it. I mean, it's not that long. It almost kind of sounds like something they could have started the album with, but it sounds like a piano that you would hear in some creepy horror movie. Even though it's just piano, maybe just a little bit of orchestra behind it, it does. It sounds really creepy, so it kind of has that creepy way to end the album on. But overall, this album runs about 45 minutes, 44 minutes. Doesn't outstay its welcome. The songs all range around the 4 to 5 minute mark. So no song outstays its welcome either. Overall, what I think about it, the band sounds reinvigorated. They sound awesome. The energy is there. The performances is there. They haven't lost a step at all. So I'm not disappointed in this album. I think it's better than the last couple of albums. It's just them perfecting their sound even more. I mean, just taking all their strengths and moving along with it. Performances are all excellent. I mean, what can you say about these guys? I mean, they've always been excellent musicians. The production sounds great. It's full. Everything is layered where it needs to be. Once again, not too long. The songs keep it moving. There's always a kinetic energy to it. So I think this is one of their best albums, and I'd say that 9 years is worth the wait. I know they've kind of been working on this album on and off over that time, and they've had the time to really hone this thing in and get it down to what Darkane does very best. So, we don't really give scores here at the Magma Chamber, but I'm going to say if you've ever been a Darkane fan and you're not sure what to expect, just expect more of Darkane doing their very best on this album. And if you've never checked this band out before, this is a great album to start with right here. You're going to get everything that they're about. I would say even go back and listen to their previous albums as well. I know that in the last few weeks leading up to this album, they've been releasing each of their previous albums on digital format again. So I don't know what happened with Nuclear Blast, but it's been kind of hard to find some of their albums digitally. I mean, just a few of them have been out, but now they're all out there. Go check them out. Check this one out too. It's awesome. Well worth the wait. Thank you, Darkane. Welcome back. Also check out my video of Darkane, bands we love. I'm going to leave the link in the description below. So feel free to check us out over on Instagram at magma_chamber_metal, or email us with any questions, comments, concerns. I don't know what concerns you have for us. But check us out at magmachambermetal@gmail.com. We'll see you next time right here on the Magma Chamber. Until next time, keep headbanging.